Do you remember the buzz around home DNA kits? They were those sleek boxes that promised to tell you everything, from your ancestry to your risk of getting Alzheimer's. That whole scene was 23andMe's playground. They weren't just one of the first at a party, they were the party. For a hot minute, they looked like the future of consumer health. But flash forward to 2025, and the same company that once claimed it would revolutionize medicine is now just another bankruptcy headline. So what happened? Founded in 2006 by Anne Wojcicki, 23andMe launched with a goal that sounded noble and futuristic. Let people access their own genetic info cheaply and easily. No doctor visits, no labs, and no middlemen. And it worked. Well, kind of. The early kits were a sensation. A mix of novelty and real curiosity drove people to spit in a tube and mail it off like they were part of some quirky science club. People were posting results on Facebook like they were personality quizzes. You could suddenly find out that you were 7% Finnish or had a gene linked to caffeine metabolism. And the prices kept dropping, eventually down to $99. In 2008, Time magazine named 23andMe's DNA kit the invention of the year. It was cool, disruptive, and it certainly had a tech sparkle. Investors loved it. Google threw early cash, and with Anne Wojcicki's Silicon Valley connections, they had serious wind at their backs. Then came the FDA slap. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. In 2013, the FDA basically told 23andMe, hey, stop pretending you're a doctor. The company had been offering health risk reports saying, for example, that you were more likely to get Parkinson's or breast cancer based on your DNA. But regulators weren't convinced that the science or the communication was up to par. The feds ordered them to stop marketing health reports, and this was a massive blow. For a while, 23andMe could only talk about ancestry and raw data. But they fought back, reworked their reports, and by 2015, they were back in the health game. A bit with more disclaimers than a pharmaceutical ad. Still, the damage was already done to their reputation in certain circles. That health data goldmine, well, it suddenly looked a little radioactive. But then Wall Street got involved. In 2021, 23andMe went public via a SPAC merger with Richard Branson's VG Acquisition Group. They hit the market with a valuation around $3.5 billion. There were big plans: drug discovery, new consumer products, and monetizing their giant data set. Anne Wojcicki pitched the same company as more than a DNA testing service. She framed it as a health platform with AI and biotech ambitions. And hey, it sounded legit, right? Their partnership with pharmaceutical giant GSK added credibility. And the idea was use consumer DNA data to find new drug targets. GSK even invested $300 million. But here's where it starts to fall apart. The GSK partnership didn't exactly pan out, and by 2023, GSK pulled the plug. Quietly and without drama, but nonetheless, the message was loud. The data wasn't delivering the kinds of results that they'd hoped for. Meanwhile, their core DNA kit business, well, it was slowing down. The novelty wore off. And if you'd done a test in 2016, you probably didn't need to do another. Plus, competitors like Ancestry DNA and MyHeritage were offering similar services, sometimes cheaper, sometimes with better privacy terms. And then came the data breaches. This was the part where things got really messy. In 2023, 23andMe disclosed a security incident. Hackers had scraped data from the user accounts using credential stuffing. Basically, they tried to reuse passwords until something worked. Well, now they had names, ancestry info, and even details about relatives that were compromised. The story got worse in 2024 when it was revealed that some health-related information had also been accessed. The company tried to play it cool, saying only a small subset of users were affected. But when you're in the genetic data business, even a small subset sounds terrifying. Customers lost trust, lawsuits followed, and class actions piled up. At the same time, revenue was drying up. The company had been losing money for years. It was spending big on R&D, trying to crack drug development. But the results were slow, and investors were getting antsy. By 2024, the stock had plunged into penny territory. There were layoffs, key executives bailed, and the Nasdaq threatened delisting. That $3.5 billion valuation from the SPAC days? Pretty much vapor. When GSK officially exited the partnership, 23andMe not lost just money, but credibility. Investors saw it as a vote of no confidence, and let's be real, it kind of was. In early 2025, the rumor solidified. 23andMe filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The story that had started with so much promise, democratizing health, giving people insight into their own biology, it ended up in the scramble to sell off assets. Some reports suggested that pharma companies were circling to buy the dataset, and others claimed that private equity were looking to repackage the brand. But Anne Wojcicki stepped down shortly after the filing. Publicly, she framed it as a necessary transition, but it felt like more of the end of an era. So, what went wrong? It wasn't just one thing. That's the trick with these high profile collapses. There's never just one villain. Sure, the FDA setback hurt, the GSK breakup was a gut punch, and the data breach shattered trust. But it was more than just that. 23andMe was built on a promise that sounded almost too good to be true. That regular people could access their deepest health secrets with just a $99 kit and a website login. That promise ran into the real world, the hard, slow, expensive world of biotech and regulation and human complexity. So, what can we learn from this mess? Trust is everything, especially when you're handling sensitive data. Once you lose it, well, good luck getting it back. The hype train crashes hard. Going public doesn't solve your own problems, it magnifies them. Biotech is slow, drug development takes years, sometimes decades, and investors usually want results faster. And finally, you can't sell science like software. That Silicon Valley blitz scaling playbook, well, it doesn't always work when human biology is involved. So what's next for the afterlife of 23andMe? Maybe the brand will live on in some watered down form. Maybe we'll get bought up and relaunched as a premium ancestry site. But that dream of a direct to consumer biotech powerhouse, that one's pretty much dead. Still, 23andMe changed the way that people think about genetics. It got regular folks to talk about alleles and markers and BRCA mutations. That's no small feat. It just turns out that decoding DNA is a lot easier than decoding a sustainable business model. What do you guys think? Can 23andMe make a comeback? Have you ever used 23andMe? And what did you like about it? What did you not like? Let me know that in the comments below. And if you like videos like this, leave a like and consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next one.